of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. So, guests, this is our committee up here, the members that are here so far. So, here's our committee, here your guests. The way we have an agenda, if you haven't seen it, to the back.
It's right up here.
And why don't I ask the committee members to just introduce themselves so the folks here in the audience know who they are. I'll start by saying the Downtown Redevelopment Committee was started on initiative of mine, I think it was April of 2017, to go ahead and manage the redevelopment of the downtown. Of course, then we wound up with our affordable housing requirements, so that got all put together. And we formed a committee of 21 people, 7 people from the town, the deputy mayor, myself, Tom Strowe, who sits in for Alan Arabella, town manager, and Barbara Costa's on there. And then we have 7 business representatives. Business people, raise your hand. All right, give me your names. Steve.
Hi, Steve Goldberg. I'm the Vice President of the Scotch Plains Business and Professional Association.
Okay.
Tom Reed, Reed Auto Parts, Second Street.
My name is Emilio DiOrio. I have a CPA firm in Scotch Plains on Park Avenue.
Okay. And did I miss anybody else? And then we have 7 residents who are on this. Can we, Colleen,
Holly Giovanella.
all right.
Ernesto Saravelli.
Shannon Boniface.
Okay, and so these are the representatives here tonight. So just so you understand. All right, and we will go through our agenda, and then at the end is public comment. Okay, so if you're here for Plainfield Avenue or Parker Gardens or whatever, we're not going to get. We'll give you an opportunity at the end to talk about that. But in the meantime, we're going to go through our agenda as we have it now, and we have another. Allie.
Hi, sorry.
Introduce yourself, Allie.
Hi, my name is Allie Cohen. I'm new to the Downtown Redevelopment Board. I'm a teacher here in Scotch Plains.
Okay. So with that, we're going to go forward. The first part is my chairman's remarks on downtown, and we're continuing to proceed implementing our affordable housing requirements, which we'll talk a little bit about today. We're also moving forward on a proposal by Legal and Grocery Company for what is now advantageous properties. We're also in the process of working with a developer on what we might be able to do in the downtown, and that's very much in its initial process. And we continue to engage with different people who have ideas of how they want to see the downtown redeveloped. So that activity continues on, but I'm not going to say too much more because we want to get to questions. Progress report on conditional redevelopers agreement with the Advanced Realty, Tom.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So as per a conditional redeveloper agreement for the Tier 1 Phase 1 section of our downtown, the Township Council on September 17th passed a conditional redevelopment agreement with Advanced Realty, who was one of the respondents to our RFP for downtown.
Do we have a map?
There you go. That green area there is Phase 1. Here, I use it. The green area there that the mayor will point out to you in a second is what's known as the Tier 1 Phase 1 section of our downtown for our affordable housing settlement. There are a total of 7 phases in 3 different tiers. Last year, we worked on a redevelopment plan for the Tier 1 Phase 1 section. We went out for a RFP for that redevelopment area. 3 developers responded to it. This committee reviewed those proposals and determined that the proposal submitted by Advanced Realty was most in line with the township's vision. Now, we as a committee still had many questions regarding Advantage Realty and what they're proposing to do. So what we did is we asked the town council to create a agreement that we would bind to the developer to ask to basically require them to answer a significant amount of questions before we move forward with any project. So that agreement, which is on town websites and filed with the town clerk, anybody can go read it. It spells out a 150-day time frame to develop a concept plan, a final concept plan for the downtown that we would present at a public meeting. So we intend to go through the next 150 days to negotiate a potential concept plan. If the committee doesn't think the concept plan makes sense for the town or is going to work for the town, we're not going to support it. So the developer is going to have to work with us to come up with a plan to our satisfaction before we move forward. So,
Can I just say
Go ahead.
why we chose this area? Because we own 4 parking lots. This is our public land. It's land that, doesn't produce any tax revenue right now. As part of our affordable housing agreement, the court was looking for us to sort of jumpstart things, and these were the, part of the reason why we're going.
yes, so one of the first things we're working on, and I know it's why everybody's here tonight, is the potential relocation of our public buildings. The township, conducted a needs study last year with the museum group to determine what the needs of police, fire, town hall, and the rescue squad would need if we were to do new buildings for those properties. So we've been going through with township officials, reviewing that needs study, working on a potential program for what would be required in new facilities. We are in the process of hiring an architect to serve as a township consultant as well, to work with us on the schematics for those new buildings, particularly on the internal design. And our goal here is to determine what the cost would be for new buildings, which would then help us understand the financing and negotiations that would need to take place regarding number of units and commercial space in the downtown. The area that we're looking at with the developer is the Plainfield Avenue site. Now, I know there's a lot of comments, questions, emails, all kinds of things that have gone forward, and we as a committee have those same questions. We are going to go through several drafts. We don't have a plan. We don't have a schematic of what this is going to look like. We have a lot of work to do ahead of time before we can find out if this is definitely going to work. It's a challenging site. The developer has a lot of questions to answer, and I do want to point out that all the costs for any studies that have to be done, traffic studies, environmental studies that will all be done and reviewed as part of this process, are all the developer's costs. They have posted an escrow, a funding agreement. It's their project. The burden is on them to demonstrate to us how this is going to work, and they're paying for it. So the taxpayers of the town are not paying for this process. They're not paying for the work that the developer is doing. They have to pay for that. They pay our professionals to work on this process. So we've got to work through this 150 days time frame with the developer to determine the feasibility of any potential relocation. So we've got a lot of work that has to be done. And the committee is after 150 days, if we're satisfied, we think it's going to work, we would then reveal it at a public meeting like this, where we would then ask for additional public comments before approving anything. So, our goal, of course, with all this, is to create, additional mixed-use development opportunities in the downtown. While we are required to build apartments for our affordable housing settlement, we are looking, as part of the redevelopment process, when we're talking about downtown redevelopment for 35 years, is to develop a successful downtown. And, while retail has changed in the country, in the economy, with online, there are many downtowns in the state that are thriving. There are people who are looking for downtown living, and that is what this committee is trying to accomplish. So with the right planning and design, with all of your help, we can create that successful model that will increase property values and move our town forward. Now, the moving of the town hall and the discussion over that is not something new. It's not something that this committee came up with. It's been talked about in studies that the town has conducted in many administrations for over 30 years. The most recent one being a parking study that was commissioned by the Township Council in 2016 by Matrix New World Engineering, which talked about how many business owners expressed interest in relocating town hall to a different part of town. Now, it may not have said specifically what location, but that's why we're exploring it. And, for example, right out of the study, it says location and footprint of the township hall occupies prime commercial or mixed-use real estate, which could be redeveloped with a mix of uses that could draw additional customers downtown and contribute to the vibrancy of the downtown. Field observation and planning analysis indicate that the primary negative feature of the layout of the township hall property is the large gap in the streetscape the parking lot creates. This space exists in stark contrast to compact storefronts that exist along other portions of Park Avenue. The gap created by this parking area creates a void that detracts from the vibrancy of the downtown. It is recommended that the township consider some type of mixed-use infill project at this parking area with structured parking or other parking that fills in this void and maintain or ideally increases the amount of parking in the downtown. There was an infill redevelopment study that was done on April 21st, 2006, which made similar recommendations. You go 10 years before that, you go to 1996 to the Wallace, Roberts, and Todd report, made similar recommendations. So we're interested in, actually, we have a developer in the room for the first time. All these other studies were just done, money was spent, they all talked about the same thing, and nothing was done. So we have this committee together, working with the developer, and again, we put this agreement out there, this time frame, to work with the developer on the concept. It has to be to the satisfaction of this committee before we move forward. There are a ton of questions, people have raised them, I've read them, I've seen them, about traffic, about every issue. That will all have to be worked out. The developer is going to have to pay for all those studies, and they're going to have to demonstrate to the various town boards that it can work. There'll be public hearings on all of them. How much of the buildings are going to go or how much are going to stay, we don't know yet. We need to determine what the cost of that's going to be. We need to determine if we can afford that. Again, these studies have laid out the challenges of the downtown in terms of our municipal property, which is why the mayor said, again, why we're focusing on trying to redevelop this area. But this committee is going to work with the developer. It's all in the very preliminary stages. We've just begun this discussion. And we intend in 150 days, and if it takes a little longer, we'll take the time to make sure it's done right. We will present it at a meeting with this committee, and we will explain what the plan is. But as of right now, number of units, all of that is all in negotiation. We don't know that right now.
Thanks, Tom. Let me just say to everybody, we've been at this for 2.5 years now. And between, we have certain conditions we have to meet on the affordable housing agreement, which is somewhat driving us. But there's also, when I ran for election, there's also the talk we needed to, do better in redeveloping our town, making us more competitive with other towns. And that's how we started. It sort of got on steroids at this point. But we're trying to, as a committee, manage it for the best for the whole township. And so therefore, we've been talking about these issues. Glad to see we got room for the people tonight. We've been wondering why we haven't had people coming out before. But let's just start a process of talking about why we're here, why it's got to be done. We need to do something. We just can't sit on our hands on this one. The courts are watching us, what we're doing. People are worried about kind of heights we might get in buildings. I challenge anybody to just read the newspaper, what's going on in other towns that are trying to sort of buck the court and see what's happening. You don't win those cases. So we're doing our best to manage it. I think we're the developer that we've chosen. We haven't chosen them, but we've got a preliminary agreement with them. They're very good. They have an interest in the town. They've lived in the town before. They come and do their shopping in the town. So we're doing our best to meet a whole bunch of requirements. The library is shot. We need a new library. This building, everybody says, well, yeah, this building's fine. No, it's not fine. We put a lot of money into this. And Councilman Gianello's, it's falling apart. The North Side Fire Station here is, we probably should have closed that building years ago. We got 2 beautiful big fire trucks down on the south side, because there's no place to put them on the north side. So every time there's a fire, requiring one of those trucks, they're running up Martine Avenue through Fanwood to get up here. We need to find a place on the north side to at least distribute those. Now, I'm going to jump somewhat out of order. We have the police chief here. We also have Chief Paul from the fire department. I'm not going to ask them to talk now. I'm going to ask everybody just to hold it. We've got an agenda to get through. And then we can talk about this in more detail when we get to our regular agenda. Is that okay, everybody? All right. Let's have that agreement. All right, so the next thing we have is then Snuffy's lateral redevelopment plan update. Lee, is that you?
That is me.
This is Lee Fleming. She's part of Harbor Associates, who is our planner. Consultant. Well.
Hey folks, my name is Skip Hall. I'm the Deputy Fire Chief, but I'm also the Fire Code official. And right now we have the emergency exits in the back are blocked.
Uh-oh.
So what I'm going to ask everybody to do, if you're standing by the exits, come in and meet your neighbors, scooch in a little bit on the seats here. Just so that way, because we're not going to have an emergency tonight, but in the event that we did, I want to make sure everybody's Thank you guys, I really appreciate it.
All right, so thank you everybody for cooperation. Let's keep the doors, open so that people can, if they do have an emergency, we all can get out safely. All right, so Lee, why don't you go forward with the Snuffy's redevelopment plan update.
Sure. Again, my name is Lee Fleming. I work for Harbor Consultants. We're the township planner. We're the ones who prepared your housing element and fair share plan. We're also the ones who did the preliminary investigation report for Tier 1 Phase 1 and have been working with the committee for the Tier 1 Phase 1 redevelopment plan. But first, and I know you're all here about Plainfield Avenue, but I do have to get through the Snuffy's update and some overlay updates, so bear with me. I'm also going to be a little long-winded because there are lots of new faces and you don't have all the background information. So let's kick this off. So we're going to do our update of Snuffy's. This was the original exhibit that was in the redevelopment plan that was introduced in October.